Marcus here from Manifesting Minds. I want to talk about a secret or something that's often forgotten that will help you manifest your dream goals. Neville talks about it as the ladder experiment, and for someone who's new to manifesting, this is a great way of just believing in manifestation. Now, we won't go into the ladder experiment too much, but it talks about instead of imagining you climbing up a ladder like you're watching a film, from a distance, you actually have to feel yourself climbing that ladder. So what would it feel like putting that foot above the other, shifting your weight, feeling that metal, if it's a metal ladder, the coldness of the metal, and walking up that ladder? And what it transpires is that often when you do run this experiment a few times in your head, whichever way you want to do it, I mean, Neville talks about in the state akin to sleep, but there's other methods that we can talk about in a later video, then that will happen. That you'll eventually come up to a scenario in real life where you're climbing that ladder. And I've experienced it. It's happened to me. And it's an experiment I would recommend trying to just start to get your beliefs going on, is this all real? Because if you're trying to manifest a big goal, a massive dream of yours, it's very hard to just start from scratch. It's definitely possible, but you have to believe it. You have to believe that what you imagine in reality and that feeling, if you persist, will happen. And it is all true, but you have to you don't have to, but it does definitely helps to work your way up there. So Neville even says it. He says, believe in that reality as fact. It has that appointed hour. Leave it alone. So it's almost like saying, just know it's happened in reality and it will happen. And sometimes when you really want to manifest something desperately and you're just saying, when's it coming? When's it coming? It doesn't help. So this is why it's good to start with a different experiment just to test things along. So I'm going to talk to you about the tennis ball experiment that I did for myself 3 months ago. Now, I thought to myself, what would it be like to have a tennis ball? Probably not surprising. How often do you see a tennis ball? I mean, you could see it quite often, I guess. Going to the park, you may see it very often. But for me, I don't really see tennis balls that often. And I wanted to test it a little bit further. So I actually imagined a dog coming up to me with a tennis ball in hand, because it's slightly more unusual. And I did that for a few days before sleep. I would imagine the fuzzy texture of the tennis ball, the smell of a tennis ball, which is quite distinct. And I would think about the dog running up to me and me just stroking the dog and being happy that he's bought me a tennis ball, because it's just a cool thing to have happened. And I just forgot about it. With that kind of experiment, you don't really care about when it happens. You just, you kind of set it, forget it. Whereas if you're thinking, I need £10,000 before the end of the year or the end of the next week, it does add a lot of pressure. Now, I've read Neville's success stories where it's happened, but it's just not something that has been easy for me to just do. So anyway, I forgot about it, and then I started seeing bridges of incidents. Like I would go to a shop and they had loads of tennis balls in a basket, and I thought, well, that's cool, but it's not what I manifested. It's not what I imagined. And then I ended up playing tennis. I haven't played tennis in years, and the steps to play that tennis match was very odd. I mean, I flew to a different country. I quit my job as a result. So these were really things I couldn't have planned in my head. It wasn't just a case of me going and actually buying a tennis ball for the purpose of proving that this is manifested. And anyway, it wasn't what I imagined. It was a dog coming up to me with a tennis ball. Now, how it happened was a week later, I was looking at places to buy, and the owner had a dog, and the dog ran up to me with a tennis ball. And I didn't even realize when it happened. I kind of just stopped for a minute, and then it clocked to me as, actually, this is the exact scene that I imagined. And it was really, it kind of took me aback, because it just gave me a lot of belief. Because it's the same element, like what you feel if that wish would happen is obviously different to you getting a tennis ball versus finding the love of your life. But if you stay true to it, if you run this experiment, I definitely recommend running it, because you might be tired of the ladder experiment, or you want to try something different, and just give it a go. I mean, for me, it took 3 months, but it was did happen, and it's given me the confidence to keep going. And doing these principles, practicing it is not easy. People say, well, why don't you just manifest anything? It's easy. You have to put the work in. But obviously these YouTube videos are a great way of just reminding yourself that it can work. I love listening to success stories as well. But let me know, try this experiment out, see how it works, and I'd be keen to know your how it's worked for you. So yeah, let me know. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on these videos, and we'll hopefully see you in the next one.